anybody. Community with Lakhi Singh. Yes, good morning. And we've got two guests on this morning. We've got a Patricia, I think, Lene or Lane. Katrina. So it's Katrina's topic, and that is starting life off as a property sourcer. That's right. And the topic for today is no, the saying for today is, when you reach the end of the rope, tie a knot in it and hang out. Right, okay, we'll find out what that means to Lakhi Singh. Lakhi Singh, have you ever come to the end of your rope and had to tie a knot in it and hang out? And just, what does that mean to you, first of all? Good morning. What's the weather like there in sunny United Kingdom?
Good morning. It's hazy today.
Yes, it's what? It's
cold.
what? Hazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what?
And cold.
Cold, hazy and cold. Excellent. Right, so got Katrina in the backstage, so we've got a waiting backstage, but we'll first ask the question of Mr. Singh. Lakhi, we disconnecting?
I can hear you fine.
Are you Lakhi? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Excellent. Right. So, starting off your life in property as a property sourcer. Were you ever a property sourcer, Lakhi? Is that the way you started your life in property? Did you become a sourcer to property or what? A what?
A property investor rather than a property sourcer.
A property investor rather than a property sourcer, right? Okay, so all that cash lying around, the ching 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 that you probably had, right? So okay, property investor, not a property sourcer. So we've got Katrina with that topic. Let's ask her in a bit then. But first, before we ask her that topic, tell us, have you ever gotten to the end of your rope? What did you do when you got to the end of your rope? Did you do as the saying says, tie a knot in it and hang out to see what happens, or did you basically stop what you were doing? What did you do when you got to the end of your rope? Have you ever been at the end of your rope? Hello?
I suppose the way to look at it, I was comfortable, and I did get advised to actually sell my whole portfolio and cash it all in. But I decided to continue. It was less about the comfortable bit. It was more about enjoying doing property, getting things done over the whole rigmarole that goes with it. So it's quite an exciting process.
Okay, right. Okay, so exciting process. I'm talking about exciting. We have the lovely, exciting Katrina backstage. We'll call her, invite her on, and ask her what she thinks. about getting to the end of her, actually at the end of her rope. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning, Katrina.
Katrina.
How
Is
you
she
both?
there yet? Can you hear us, Katrina?
Yes.
Can you hear?
I think it's frozen. Katrina, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Lakhi.
So, Katrina, tell us a bit about yourself while we're waiting for VJ Cell to get unfrozen. I think he's probably might be the cold weather that's frozen him.
Yeah, like I said, my name's Katrina. I come from Swansea in South Wales. I've now just become a director of my own property limited company as a deal purchaser. We specialise in the buy, refurbish, refinance model, which works best for us. We're a family-run business, so I'm getting kind of the family involved. We have no background in property whatsoever, so yeah, it's exciting time really. That's pretty much it. Started back learning on an online course back in July. Since then, I've just come into groups on Facebook, getting more knowledgeable on all the strategies as much as I can, and just kind of pretty much delved in there. I left my jobs and literally just thought, if I'm going to do this 100%, I've got to just desperate times take desperate measures and just put my 100% into it. So, yeah.
Can you see me, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're fine now, VJ Cell.
Excellent. Okay, Katrina, yes, I just got a bit of that. So you just jumped into property and you're doing the sourcing, the refurb, and then the finance. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Is it purchase, refurb, and finance? How is it then? Or is it?
Whatever. We source and package for investors. So it's whatever we just do to whatever their demands are, really.
Excellent. So you do it for on behalf of your investor. Is that right?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So you're out in Swansea. Can you sing?
Pardon?
Because everybody in Wales can sing, can't they? Got a lovely voice. I think you've got a lovely voice. Can you sing? Can you sing?
I suppose I could.
Yes, I bet you can. You're just being modest now. You've got that lovely, clear voice about you. Okay, so your life as a property. So you started off as a property sourcer. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I put a course on deal packaging. So because I'm not an investor and I don't have the funds to invest, that's my way forward, what I want to do. So I thought the best way to finance that is to source and to be in a position to be an investor.
Yeah. How did you manage that then? How do you just get into becoming a sourcer? And why would anybody give you their property when they can sell it themselves on a website or give it to an estate agent? Why to give it to you? What was it that you had that was unique? What was special about it?
I know my area. I've lived here all my life, and know the streets, the bad, the ugly, and kind of being from, if you were an investor which didn't have that knowledge, I'd have second to none to that. So
ये मैं फिर कैमरा बंद कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं पीछे से घुसना पड़ेगा सर आप
Right, okay, so I'm gonna blank myself for a bit. Don't get worried. I am still. You can hear me though. Yes, is that right, Katrina?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So you know your area. How much? How much? Or how much of a model, or how much of an amount of business do you have there that you're going to explore? I mean, surely it's going to be limited, or is there a lot of business in Swansea? And you know that even if you know your area, there'll be lots of business, lots of things that will happen in your area to make it easier for you to keep busy.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I got property this morning, the shiny penny, but I saw that Swansea's a great area. Every strategy works here. We got lots of infrastructure happening at the minute. We've got a virtual arena happening. There's a new town, LC2. We were supposed to have more infrastructure, but now it's started. There's lots of SAs, HMOs along that way. So I think the roundabout the time is now to delve into that strategy as well as, which I'm still learning upon as I'm going along. So I'm no, expert in the area of HMO or SA, but that's where I'd like to go in the near future.
Okay, so what you're saying is at the moment you're saying you're not an expert, but you know that you can see lots of properties being converted into SAs or HMOs, and you know your area, so you know the type of property that would be best converted. So do you get involved in the finance as well, or do you just sort of like refer deals to your sort of like hot favorite investors?
Yeah, pretty much that. Best
So
deal
what do
that I
they
can
get? What do they get from you then in return when you give them this deal? What are they getting? What's unique?
the returns, the best returns that I can get basically in my negotiation. I've built a good relationship with estate agents, and I go direct to vendors also to get a better deal again with motivated sellers. So basically we just try the best that we can for our investor, knowing their needs and go for their goals and their aspirations.
Okay, and is there a big market there in Swansea for service departments? Is a lot of employment going on there, or people that are just needing temporary housing? What's the model then? What are you working on?
At the minute, I'm doing by refurbished
Social housing?
Yeah, social housing is massive. That's one thing I want to get into, which is in a big demand in Swansea. I suppose with everywhere in the UK is a great demand through social housing via the council. But from, like I said, from SAs, HMOs, there's a lot of infrastructure at the minute, which is a lot of work colleagues. We've got a number of student new builds, high top buildings that are going on at the minute, which I think is about 4 going on at the minute. One has been complete, which is on Kingsway, which is just an up and coming area, which is now starting, and I think now's the time to make a change. Now that it's starting, the infrastructure around you, give it a year and it'd be slightly too late,
Okay, so Lakhi, I'm going to ask you. You obviously were around nearly every area in the United Kingdom. You were investing in lots of different cities. Did you ever get a chance to invest in Swansea, or do you know Swansea well?
I've invested in Wales and Cardiff and in Llandudno and Real, more up north actually in Wales. But now currently we do deal with a lot of clients in Swansea and Cardiff. We've got portfolios which they need maybe refinancing, or they need to restructure because they've got some form of negative equity. So we specialize in sort of solving portfolio problems. So we're always busy in Swansea and Cardiff. That's quite a very large set of landlords with portfolio, because there's lots of regulations. A lot of them need to get out because they find it difficult to probably sell because the asset values have gone down since from the peak from 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, what
okay. Obviously, Lakhi Singh, we can't hear you now, or we've run. Yes.
You froze.
Okay, Katrina, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. You froze.
Excellent, excellent. Sorry about that. Okay, so what were you doing before last year, July, before you got into property? Were you doing it part-time before?
No, literally. I was actually working 3 jobs, and
Wow.
I cut down 2, and literally the one job just I didn't have enough time to put anything into property. It was literally, I thought I need to make a big decision here, and literally I was like, right, I have to go on my own, save enough money to set up my limited company, and this is where I am today. It's yeah, it's exciting stuff, nerve-wracking, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's good stuff.
So VJ Sal, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you. I think he's froze again.
I think it's probably a bad line. It's back again now.
I'm back. Right, okay, yeah, Katrina, tell me, the 3 jobs, I missed that. What were the 3 jobs you were doing?
You'll have a little laugh now. Well, one, I was a receptionist at one job. Then the other, I went into with mental health and addiction. This is where I've seen the homelessness and, you know, the demand for social housing. And then I was the local girl down the local chippy. Save money.
The local girl down the local chippy. Yes, okay,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Yeah, so
what was the first job? Because I missed the first one. Sorry.
It was first of all volunteering to is a charity to do with mental health and addiction. So I used to go on outgoings and talk to the people and just, you know, take them out of their own comfort zone and go along the beach, taking them for walks, that sort of thing. But it turned into a job, so I took it up, but it was just too much. I couldn't do the 3 jobs. So unfortunately I had to knock that one because it was further away than my local other 2 jobs. But yeah, that's when I saw there was a demand as well for property.
I still haven't got the 3rd job. I'm still trying to work out the 3rd job. I know the chippy job, the local girl in the local chippy. Pardon?
A receptionist as a solarium, sunbed centre.
Okay, so you're a receptionist at a solarium. Excellent. Okay, so so the one that you had to let go was the social welfare, you call it, is that right? Or social care. Is that the one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So
It's a
tell us
mixed
then,
bag, I know.
what was the motivation and why property? Why not?
Well, I got furloughed in the first lockdown, and literally from 3
Got a
jobs,
bad reception.
I had to like I slowed down. It gave me time to reflect on a lot of things, which I wasn't used to. With 3 jobs, I was literally didn't have time to think, and that's when I actually thought, what do I want to do with my life? What is the way forward? I'm kind of doing all sorts to save money and what have you. What I was saving it, but I really didn't know where I wanted to put it into. So I came across a training course. So I entered that, and I've never looked back really, and just put what the areas in my life and what I've seen to practice into property. Like I've moved around a lot as well. I've been a tenant, and I've been your perfect tenant, which is ripped out the kitchen, the bathroom, and every property I've done it up. So I've got like experience in that, and I also, as a tenant, I know what to look for in a landlord, and it's just all what's led up into my life now that's thinking, right, property is the way to go. I've got no knowledge in it, but I need to get knowledgeable and get myself out there.
Excellent. I think you've got the right attitude and you're in the right direction. I think, yes, you're definitely someone to look out for in Cardiff. Right. Before we continue, we have got Daniel. Yes, Daniel Woods who's joining us. I think we've had him on messaging before, but I don't remember him coming on the show. So he's also new today. So treat him with a bit of kindness, Katrina. Don't scare him. Okay.
Of course.
Yes. Let's get him on then. Daniel Woods. We have Daniel Woods on.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Hey, Danny, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Honored to be here with you guys.
Excelente. I hear you got a bit of a twang there. It sounds like you're gonna have a lot of people wanting your number. So, Daniel, where are you originally from?
Well, so I'm born and raised and live in Sweden. My dad's from the US, so I put in the accent.
From Sweden, right? Okay. I thought you was more on the other side of the continent, maybe towards Canada or something. So Sweden.
Yeah,
so,
no, my dad's from San Francisco, so that's why I have the accent. I'm born and raised here.
Goodbye, San Francisco. See you next year. So you're from, so your dad's from San Francisco.
Exactly.
What side of the bridge?
Oh, he's been in the San Francisco town, so he's been on that side of the Bay Bridge and Golden Gate.
The Golden Gate. That side? You mean the rough side or the good side?
No, the good side. The good side.
Good side. Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay, Danny. The topic for today, or the saying for today, we've got a saying, not a saying every day. They come randomly. Some of them don't make too much sense to me, but they've come from somewhere. And the saying is, when you come to the end of the rope, you're coming to the end of your rope, tie a knot in it and just wait. Hang out. That's right. You can only hang out at the end of a rope. So that's the saying. And have you ever, the question's going to be, have you ever come to the end of your rope and had to tie a knot in it and hang out? I think in reflection, it means, have you come to the end of your trail of thinking or whatever you're doing, and you can't think of what to do next, or a career path, or whatever it was, something that's taking you to the end of your thinking process, and have you had to just hang out, or did you let it all hang out? It's a different question. So tell us, Danny, what do you say to that saying? Have you ever come to the end of your rope?
Yes, I think anyone, and obviously I know all of you who are here know how tough it can be to be an entrepreneur. So definitely, I mean, when we started out in property, I mean, as an international investor going into the UK, one of the things we invested in getting a mentor. We spent that time learning, but what we didn't know was how ruthless people can be when they think they can take advantage of you. And we quickly got ripped off for about £400,000 when we started out. Yeah, it was a bad start. And the worst of it wasn't my money. It was money I'd brought in from investors. And now all of a sudden I had people calling me.
First tell us how you got ripped off. How people say, how can you get ripped off in property? How did you get ripped off?
Well, the difficulty is, being in another country, I'm not there in the projects, right? So my mentor, very experienced investor, he was British, and he explained, how he ran his properties. But one thing he neglected to realize was when he had a building project going on, all of his projects were in walking distance from his office. So every day he would just take a walk around, the neighborhood, and he would walk by his building projects. And, if the builders weren't there that day, he'd send them a text and go like, hey, are you guys on the way? What's going on? And, every time they would send back, oh, no, it's all right. We're just a couple minutes late. We'll be there any minute. Now, do you think if he hadn't sent that text, would those builders have been there that day?
Don't know. It depends on the relationship with the builders. No builder can be that blatantly arrogant to say we're just there and not turn up.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very lucid arrangement.
Yeah, well, the problem for us was we were trusting partnerships with people who turned out to not be very good in character. And, we had builders who ripped us off for a lot of money. We even had joint venture partners who stole money from the company. So there were a lot of different things that happened. And all in all, it led to a loss of about
$400,000. Stealing money from the company, Daniel, is like having bad controls in place. It's not really about property, is it? It's about bad management controls, isn't it? If you've got a joint account with someone on a JV or something, surely the controls and the management of those finances should have been subject to regular review or something. And
they were smart enough not just to transfer the money to their own account. They used fake invoices and different smoke and mirrors to pull it out. And we were very blue-eyed going in. We'd been sold on the dream. We believed everyone was in it for everyone. It was all going to be great. And excuse me. So we didn't have the right amount of control. We weren't on the projects as much as we should have been. And that was our first.
Were you in San Francisco when you were running these projects, or in Switzerland?
No, these were in the UK. So they were in the north west.
No, but where were you?
Where
were you yourself?
Sweden.
And
I was in Stockholm in Sweden. So we partnered with local Brits to kind of run it for us.
Right. Okay. So you were in Stockholm, but you never quite came to the UK to see the projects live. Is that right?
Exactly. We've been recommended these partners. We trusted these people. And we've learned that, I don't have to go and see all my properties. And most of my properties I still haven't seen. But I do have to have a lot more management controls in there and a lot more systems set up than what we learned originally to make sure that what happened in that project can't happen again.
Excellent. That's right. Okay. So you started off with a bad experience.
Yep.
And obviously it would have made you a sharper tool, because the way we look at bad experiences we learn from them. Every issue, every situation has a learning in it, and some of it has a learning for the good, some of it has a learning for the better, and some for the bad. Okay, so Danny, you started off with a bad experience and you lost a lot of money. How long has it taken you to recover the losses? Have you recovered those losses, or are they still losses?
No, we've been very blessed. We got a lot of help from good people. I see Rajesh saying, yeah, there are definitely property sharks in the industry, but there are also a lot of good people. And we started working with the right people, things started to turn around. We've since then done over 100 property deals. So the new deals have been able to compensate for the bad ones. We're very lucky to work with Kim Kiyosaki. I'm sure you guys have read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes,
he helped us out a lot.
One of Ricky's favorite.
Yeah,
that's one of Ricky's favorite. Okay, Danny. Before we go on to the next phase, because I like to start with that. It's a bit of learning there. It's very, very sad. I think we got a comment in from Rajesh who says, "Well, not all property investors or developers are crooked, so it's a minority," he says, and I totally believe that. I would say most people, even who have possibly let someone down in property, are probably not letting someone down because of things that they've done wrong, but the way the market's reacted in the past 10, 15 years. So, Katrina, before we go back to Lakhi, what do you say to Danny? Are you sort of inspired by Danny's positivity and the fact that he's managed to recover from that loss and sort of now he's got some good deals under his belt? He's a bit of like a seasoned investor now. What do you say?
Yeah, I suppose every negative, a positive can come out of it. But initially, it's down to due diligence. Like you said, most of your properties you haven't even visited, but I find I couldn't operate like that because it just seems like you went in there blind, like you said, blue eye. But like what you said, you've recovered from that, which is awesome. A lot of people don't. So it's just to head up and move on and good things to come. But keep the eye on those fraudsters or your due diligence. And that's what I is second to none. My due diligence has got to be done because it is a lot of bad people out there. I haven't come across any, but what I've heard, yeah, you've got to do your due diligence.
Excellent. I think Dave, coming from, I think Katrina's a bit of a hidden, she's a bit of a hidden property potential millionaire there. She doesn't actually talk like she used to work in. Are you still working in the chippy?
No.
Excellent. Right. Do you sometimes spray yourself with oil just to remember the good old days?
It might be some still in you, I don't know. Felt like I was dripping in oil for a few years. But,
right, Lakhi. Yeah, so I think she's got the beginnings of an real entrepreneur. She went straight to the main cause of the problem. That's the diligence, isn't it? We're lucky. I think he's fallen through the crack. So we come back. Right. Okay. So due diligence, and I think Katrina's right. Due diligence is extremely important in property. And may I add to a lot of people who are listening, because remember, a lot of people get intimidated when they hear these words and they get frightened to think, wow, oh, yeah, well, I'm not a solicitor. I don't have a barrister acting for me. Can you tell us what due diligence means to you, Katrina? What is due diligence when you are looking at a property deal? What are the key points to look at?
It's paramount. It's absolute paramount because it starts and ends with due diligence. From my end of things, where is you've got to know their past, their proof of funds, proof of address, proof of ID, and just do your homework on the actual person.
Okay, so before we go over to Danny and ask him what he was doing in his due diligence, why he did not pick up on those things, or did he? He may have done it and still got
Yeah.
lumbered with the wrong type of people. Shout out John Smith, Mandy, and Rajesh. Yes, Rajesh. Right, Daniel, tell us.
Yeah, so I mean, originally we just weren't doing enough due diligence on the people. We've always been very good at doing due diligence on the properties, you know, making sure we have a good overview of the, you know, of the property itself, comparables, crime rate in the area, you know, what are the living conditions, what is the demographics of people, making sure that the strategy will work and demand and all that. We've always been very, very good at that side. But originally, we trusted in recommendations. So everyone we were working with were recommended by the company, you know, we'd done our property education with. So we trusted that they had done the due diligence. And it turned out they hadn't. So now, I mean, with our students, we recommend them people that we've done very thorough due diligence on. And we have, do you want me to walk through the 5 things we always require of a partner? Is that all right?
Go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, good to learn.
That's the first thing we require. If you're going to be a sourcing agent for us, you need to have a decade's worth of experience in property. So as you said there, Vijay, you know, the last decade or so, there's been a lot of things going on in the market. So we want them to have experienced some of that. Next, we want them to have grown their team beyond themselves. We want them to have hired people. This serves 2 purposes. The first is, you know, if they get sick, our project doesn't get screwed up, you know, that someone else can step in. But second, it also means that they have recurring revenue. That means that they can afford to hire someone because they know every month new people are buying deals. And it says something about either they're just really good at selling and they keep selling new people, or they're having a lot of recurring clients. And that's what we're looking for.
Excellent. Good.
Third, they have to have all, you know, the licenses, insurances, all the things you need to be a sourcing agent. Fourth, you need to, because again, I'm not going to be there. I need a sourcing agent that can provide a whole team, right? They need to be able to connect me with a local builder, project manager, surveyors, estate agent, letting agents. They have to have that team. And then the final thing we do, and this was the one we made the big miss on there originally, is we go in and we look at their local reputation and their track record of success, as you were saying there, Katrina, about making sure they've done this well. What's interesting with property, and this I think is the good news for everyone listening, is this is it's a small pond. Property is a small pond. So if you go to a local networking group in these areas, Lakhi, I know you have, you know, Facebook groups in lots of different areas in the country. If you're going to be working with someone, it's so easy to just go into a few of those groups and communities, attend a PIN group, especially now when they're all digital. And you just ask about them. You see, look, I'm considering working with this person. What do people think about them? And people will know. People will share quickly about, you know, if someone has a reputation for going over budget and going over time, or doing shoddy projects, or if they're doing a good job. So that's a big one. And then we always make sure we take references and testimonials. And because we now today know so many in the property industry, if they are an experienced sourcing agent that's been doing it for a decade, chances are they've actually sourced deals to people I know. And I can go to those people and say, look, what does this person actually do? Do they deliver? And going through that due diligence has really proven to work really, really well. We're working with 6 agents today that we introduce all of our clients to. And so far, for the past 2 years of our clients doing deals, they haven't had a single deal, you know, go off the rails. Obviously, things can come up, right? Things do come up in property. They're always dealt with quickly, professionally, and well. And that really comes down to the team. So a lot of my clients haven't seen their properties, but they know they have a good team, they have a good system, and we've added in a double checking system. So we don't just trust in a local partner. We have 2, 3.
Okay. I'm going to hold you there, Danny, because I think lots of questions coming out of what you've just said there. And I'm going to put my hand up. I would have thought a sourcing agent was limited only until the deal. So I'm quite gladly surprised that sourcing agents actually source builders and surveyors and sales agents, everything. So Yeah. So Katrina, which bit do you do? The
I
nice
do
bit.
both.
You do both, right?
I source and package. I prefer packaging, but I think it sounds like what you were saying, that your sources package, if they got their power team and, you know, making relationships with the estate agents and all that sort of thing, they're more packages than sources.
Yeah, yeah. There's a full. That we as internationals, we need that full turnkey solution. Otherwise, you know, when something goes wrong, I have clients that are on the other side of the world, right? Asian clients who they just can't get over there to deal with something if it comes up. They need to have a trustworthy team.
That's
So
why.
there, see, Katrina, you got a point there, Katrina. See, do you understand? Something you just learned, that if and when, if you pick up any overseas clients, they're gonna want turnkey. They're gonna want everything, not in the sense that they want you in every way, but your power team. Do you have a power team, Katrina?
Yes, which my son's a builder and he's been on site for a while. So he rubs shoulders to every tradesman. So yeah, we've got a power team.
Excellent.
So he does
So
that
now,
side of the.
yeah, so you can. I think people listening can understand that sourcing isn't just merely knowing about properties and someone wanting to offload a property or sell a property. Sourcing is providing every aspect of a property, especially if you know the property is one that needs some work done in it. Anybody who's going to be buying that property off you needs to know that you can add that value by providing them a reliable builder. And I think the problem with Danny was when the property went into refurbs or building works, because that's where you will find you will find dishonesty, in the sense that people who are not there cracking the whip will lead rise to apathy. And builders, most builders internationally are known to have a tendency of straying once someone's not there to crack the whip. Is Lucky back yet? Have we got Lucky back? Yes. We have. Lucky, have you been listening to all this? Danny's been coming out with some interesting bits about having access to foreign investors, and the fact that he expects at least anybody in the United Kingdom being a source for him to be turnkey, to be comprehensive. Now, you were an investor. Did you have sources up and down the country who were a bit turnkey? Were they more key turn? What was the people? What type of people were you working with, and were they able to provide all the services?
What I did is I actually brought my own people in, so I paid the right resources so they'd be more in-house to the company. So I didn't rely upon outsourcing. I just hired a team of builders that did all my projects for me. So
yeah.
So the issue with them is that keeping an eye on managing them across the country and making sure that they're delivered meant that to get a project manager that would go up and check on them regularly or stay over. So it took a bit of time to get the right people in, but I'd have 3 or 4 different teams like that. So I had a London team, Welsh team, and a couple of other teams internationally, because I was doing projects in other parts of the world as well.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're one of the few people who was looking to do Disney World in Afghanistan or something.
Could be a good idea, you never know.
Yeah. Okay.
Every country deserves
Danny,
a chance.
Every country deserves Disney World, I would say. Not a chance. I think they deserve the Disney World, the lovely experience of Disney World. Okay, Daniel, an interesting topic comes out there from Lucky. if you've got that many projects going on, would it not be a good idea to have your own in-house team now, employing a unit of people, or at least one project manager who oversees on your payroll, who goes to all the sites, and then you can actually have your own team built up? Is that not another way of doing the same thing, or is it too difficult for you? You think that
It
would be
could
too
absolutely
complicated?
be a good way. It all depends on the consistency of deals you're having. We often batch a lot of deals. You know, we'll do a finance raise project, you know, we'll do a round and then we'll go out and do a bunch of projects, which does mean that we also have periods when we're not doing a lot of projects. So that is a difficulty for us in that methodology. So what we've chosen to do is identify really good project managers and then bring them on as joint venture partners into a company. And then we raise finance into that company, and then they go out and manage it. So it's similar to what Lakhi's doing, but I'm not pulling them into a salary, because I would have that's one of the problems with consultants, right? If they're sitting on the bench, you still got to pay them. And that's where I would be because of our methodology. So it's worked better to bring them on as joint venture partners. That means they work when they need to work, and they have time off when they can, when I don't need them, so to speak.
Do you come into the country though, Danny? Do you come into the United Kingdom to do like a royal visit of all your sites and projects? Do you come in any of those?
Not so much
royal visits.
Sites. For me, property, being international, property is more of a people's game now than it is a property game. It's more about understanding, what do people need, what kind of support do they need to deliver their best results. And then, of course, you have to do that perfect due diligence on the property itself. But for me, I can, you know, I even have a defect color site, so I barely know if the wall is white. So, you know, I'm not going to really deliver a lot going into a project. Though what I can do is, by sitting down with people, I can, you know, work with them to make sure that they deliver their best results. So I do come into the UK, and I will go buy a project once in a while, because it is such a cool feeling to stand in front of a building and say, wow, I own this. It is a powerful feeling, but it's more about the people for me than the actual project.
Okay, Katrina, we're going to come back to you before your chips go cold. I can see your oil getting overheated up, and you haven't had a chance to throw in some of the chips of your knowledge. Tell us, Katrina, what's the future? Where are you taking 21 for your property business?
Yes, I want to expand in time. Like, I've got a 5-year plan to 3 to then in the first 12 months, I would like to invest, as in my own money, become an investor. But it's as and when, or how many investors I have on board, if I can JV, or who knows. But yeah, moving on, I would, in the end goal of it, I would like to become an investor myself.
Right, so that's the end goal. So it's very, very exciting. I think exciting times for Katrina. So what you're saying is, next 12 months, be looking out for Katrina, and you're planning to become an investor yourself. So what type of layout have you got in Cardiff? What's the average value of the investment property in Cardiff?
Well, more in Swansea.
Swansea, yeah.
Yes. Sorry, what was the question?
So what's the average layout for investment property in Swansea?
The average layout, well, I deal more in the 2 to 3 bed buytolets. There, you can get them 10 a penny, as in 80,000. You can get way under. It all depends what area in.
Wow, that's a low risk, isn't it? Really, that's probably a low risk for somebody wanting to start. And if they want to start and they don't want to feel like they've got to put too much money in, 80,000, that'd be a 2-3 bedroom. Would that be like a more of a Victorian house or a new build?
Usually you're terrace, but you can get a semi.
What would it be, a Victorian or a new build?
Yeah, more older property which needs a refurb, but I've got, I think it's 3 on the go, which is under 80,000 at the minute, and just put offers in. So yeah, that's easy achievable. Yeah. Is there anything you wanted me to add?
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to flip back over to Switzerland. Daniel, is the same happening in Switzerland?
Sorry,
or
Sweden.
is it Sweden you're in, or
Sweden.
Switzerland?
Yeah, Sweden.
Wie heißt Sie, mein lieber Freunde?
Well, for us in Sweden, I mean, obviously, I don't invest here.
Sweden.
It is a very tough market to invest.
So, what's the property market like in Sweden? Is it going through the same turmoil that UK is?
No, Sweden has been, honestly, Sweden kind of missed even the 2008, 2009 crash. So the Swedish market is very calm and stable. So no, it hasn't moved too much, but it's not a quality investment market. It's very heavily regulated, which makes it very hard to make a quality profit in the market. That's why we invest in the UK.
Okay. So are you investing into Sweden? Have you got projects on in Sweden? That's the question.
No, we don't invest in this market. It just isn't the yields are very low. It's too regulated, so it isn't very beneficial to invest in the market. So we've chosen to invest all of ours in the UK. We've done some things in Spain. We'll probably be going into the US in the next couple of years. But right now our focus is primarily UK.
Is where your focus is, and I think in Europe, UK is probably known to be the best market for you for investment. Lakhi Singh, I'm going to come back to you. Are you back on? Are you clear? Can you hear us?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Listening to Daniel and listening to Katrina, you got two budding entrepreneurs. One has obviously learned the hard way, Danny, and Katrina, who's obviously now focused in the next 12 months to become an investor herself, and she's got 3 on the go. I hope she doesn't do that to her men that she does to her property, but she has presently 3 on the go. So what do you say? What advice can you give Daniel in terms of using this golden period we've got in the market to accelerate maybe his investment potentials?
Well, I think it all depends on Daniel's viewpoint in terms of which way the market's going. I think if he's realizes that there's going to be a major correction in the market, now's the possibly good time to scale up and have an acquisition strategy. But he's got to have more equity available, or debt and equity available, to be able to scale up, but maybe able to access more projects which are going to be bought at a lot lower price, because the prices are changing. So it depends whether he's going for areas like in the northeast, where it's a lot cheaper to buy. We'll be looking to buy more in, so maybe the opportunity to access the London market now. Maybe get ready to get into that market. So I think he's in a very interesting time in the history of the UK property market. And I think for Katrina, likewise, the whole Welsh market, there's a lot of Swansea, Cardiff, massive on the 1st of April last year. There's a lots of new regulation with rent smart. So there's a lot of opportunity to help people, landlords with property portfolios, and maybe be able to scale up a lot quicker. But you've got to be able to pick up properties in a clever way, or maybe do more joint ventures with landlords who've got properties which are probably a bit unstuck with finance. So I think cash is king really is the key point here.
Yeah.
Okay. So can we ask you, Daniel, whereabouts are you investing presently in the United Kingdom?
Presently, most of our projects that we have ongoing now are in the northwest, so in Liverpool and Manchester. We are looking at projects in the Birmingham area, and yeah, so I mean that's really where our focus is, in the larger cities, but more up north, so we get that combo of capital appreciation and cash flow.
Okay, what about the type? Are you just doing a standard refurb and selling, or are you valuing and then adding value? Or are you turning into service apartments like Katrina is a specialist in? What?
Well, yes, we got some projects going on right now. We're converting an old factory into 14 commercial units and 14 apartments and 3 commercial units, which we're going to be running as an apartment hotel. We got an old pub we're turning into 9 flats, which will just be pure buy-to-lets. We recently bought an 11-bed HMO, but we are going to convert it into a 10-bed serviced apartment hotel, and then we're going to build a cottage out back, which will allow us to bring more value to it. So we're doing different things. We look at what is our, for us, again, it's more about the people, right? So I look more at the partner I'm working with, the funding source I have. Right now, I'm very blessed. I have a funding source that allows me to 100% fund my property projects. Oh, sorry, Vijay, you're muted, so I can't hear you.
Hello?
There you are.
No, it's okay. I'm listening in. Right, okay. Excellent. So you've got you're in the trend. That's the important thing. The trend is service apartments and value up in HMOs, and this is obviously the way to go forward. So you're in the right trend. I will definitely say that. Right, we're coming to the end of the show, I think. 3 minutes left. So I'm going to ask you, before I ask everyone, Wednesday's guest is Anastasia. She is Miss East Europe. We're going to have her on, and we're going to be talking about a controversial topic. I think, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, domestic violence. Obviously, it doesn't seem like a topic to do with property, but I think it's got a lot of relevance to lockdown. I think there's lots of stats regarding domestic violence during lockdown. I think she's probably an ambassador, or she's got a particular reason that topic has been brought up, and we are very open to discussing, controversial topics. So Wednesday, please be listening, and anybody who's got a view on that, I want to hear what Anastasia's got to say. Right, Daniel, before we go, could we have your last words, please?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me joining us, listening to me. And I'd love to connect with all of you. We have our Momentum Investing podcast. We do a lot of things on Clubhouse, and obviously we're on YouTube and other social media. So happy to connect with anyone. And yeah, the important thing is to, as you say, Vijay, be in the trend and keep growing keep doing the right deals for the right reasons. That's
it. Goodbye. And obviously zip up and zip out from Daniel. Right, Katrina, can we have your last word, please?
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. Yeah, it's been delightful to talk with you both. I haven't met you before, so yeah, it's a great introduction. Yeah.
Are you in the group though? You're in the group, yeah?
Yeah.
So we're looking for people. There are lots of people in the group who probably give you advice as to how to get up that ladder. We've got people in Cardiff. I think Lakhi's got lots of contacts across the whole of the UK. So the whole purpose of coming into the group is to get advice from people and to help each other get up into the business and property world. So we are here for you. You can ring Lakhi Singh. Yes, he does work in the city of London, and he is a bit of a mover and a shaker and a raker and a draker and all the other things he does. But he is also really approachable, and he'll probably give you some tips, if nothing else, not on how to fry chips and fish, but how to invest, how to become an investor. Thank you so much, Katrina.
No problem.
Thank you,
Have a
Katrina.
good
Take care. Okay, Lakhi Singh. Goodbye.